Hi, this is Eli Ochiltree of the SnoKing Beekeepers Association, and this is our monthly meeting. And we have two parts to the monthly meeting. And the first one is going to be the prize drawing for the volunteers who put in shifts at the fair or made t-shirts. I put Becky in for a couple of chances too, and because making those t-shirts took a long time. So one chance per shift or making t-shirts, and that came out to 74 chances. So you have a 1 in 74 chance of winning something. I'll show the prizes in a minute. There's one important announcement. Mike Gipperty has put in the chat two links for a survey, and the two links are the same. And if we could get people to take those, this is the same survey that we've been putting in the newsletter. I think we also put it in the closed Facebook discussion group, and we'll keep doing that until we get enough responses to have an idea of who might be interested in some social get-togethers in person. If you are sick of Zoom, as most of us are, in person sounds really, really attractive during our sort of downtime, during the winter especially, but also maybe a summer picnic too. Mike, do you want to explain a little bit more about that before I go into the prize drawing? And then after the prize drawing, I'd be happy, I think we all would be happy to talk about our hives. And if anybody wants to share where they are on are you switching from 2-to-1 feed to dry feed? Are you going to wrap this year? Are you going to insulate? What are you going to do? That would be fun. So that kind of really comes to three parts: survey, prize drawing, and then talking winterization and what's going on with our hives. So Mike, you want to go ahead and explain more about what you're looking for in that survey? And the more people we can get to answer, the better information we will have.
Yeah, so I picked time frames where it's out of season for the beekeepers, so it's not during our busy time of the year. Um, from November to April is kind of the time frame. I haven't checked into if we wanted to do something summer-wise at a park. That's based on people's first input on the survey. And the survey it's one survey with two separate links so that 50 people can do it because it's 25 people per survey is all I can do. So if you do one survey, you don't have to do the second one. And just if one fills up and there's no more space, just go to the other one. But we're looking at what we can do for free first, and then if we end up having a lot of input for wanting to do stuff that's going to be like the mead tastings and things with hot food, then that's where we're going to have to do a paid venue or a private space. And as of right now, there's individuals that have offered to use their homes and garages, but we just kind of get an input before we start bringing extra stuff into the mix. And that's kind of it for right now.
And your options included stuff like mead tasting. I don't know if we really talked about family focused stuff, but I can always come up with crafts for kids if we did end up in an indoor space and people wanted something for kids to do, a little bit of origami or something like that. And you can actually fold a bee that doesn't look a lot like a bee, but we could honey tasting. I'm really hoping we can work that in because our club provided 5 people for the honey judging, and we know all about the Danish system of judging honey now. And we'd be happy to share it while we're tasting each other's honey. And that's what you do in a honey tasting, is you come and everybody puts their samples out and you can taste everybody's different honey. And it's really neat, the flavors throughout the year. And some people know that they took it early enough that they got big leaf maple. Uh, Knotweed's pretty distinctive by its color, and it's really fun. That's how I found out how all these different honeys taste. So we appreciate a response to it as soon as possible so that Mike can start figuring out how to do this. He's working on the logistics. Any questions? Okay. And uh we'll go ahead and start on the prize drawing. Although I don't think we found a drum roll that really works, so you just have to have an imaginary drum roll, okay? I can kind of pound my desk or something, or Mike can. Do get pictures ready. If you want to share something, you're doing something in your hives, you're seeing something in your hives, after we get through the prize drawing, we can all share screen, and that's really helpful. If you even want to show us how you're winterizing, how you're doing the wrapping, uh, what you're doing about robbing. The bald-faced hornets are showing up around my hives. So all that sort of thing, anything you want to do, you can get your screen, any pictures you've got ready to go on your screen. Otherwise, let's see, I am going to go ahead and that's for ideas to talk about, because I think people are gonna, at least somebody will want to stay on and talk about all the issues, what we're still dealing with in winterizing. So the prizes. There's a lot of little things. The big grand prize, but not everybody wants the big grand prize, is the single deep hive set that was at the fair, and we used it for demos. Manlake has done this now 2 years in a row, and it's really nice because a completely new, brand new hive set does not attract any wasps or bees to the fair booth. And it's really wonderful for us to be able to use it as a demo. And so remember, Manlake, when you're ordering, although I use Bitter Bee and Daydent as well. I do all three. Then we have some books. The Beekeeper's Apprentice and Lori King put, I don't know if it's really a signature, but she sort of initialed it. So I guess it becomes, a special copy. The Beekeeper's Apprentice, if you like Sherlock Holmes and mysteries and sort of crime thrillers or whatever, you would like it. And it's the first in a series of 19 books. The 19th book is going to come out. The series has been that successful. It's due this year. And this is the first one published 30 years ago. And we ended up, actually, Pat Waymeyer and I got paid to go and talk and do a honey tasting and bring an observation hive. And it helped out the club. We cleared a few hundred on that, on just going out and doing that at the Left Coast Crime Convention. In case you've ever heard of that, there is one. There's also a really nice smoker. I have a picture of that coming up. We have 2 double strainer sets. Picture coming up. Beehive cookie jar and bee boots planter, I think, coming up picture. Varroa Easy Check. Also, First Lessons in Beekeeping. It's a classic book. I don't know that I would ever go out and buy it, but if you'd like to add it to your collection and you would like one of those copies for your prize, that'd be great. Baseball caps. We all need baseball caps to keep our noses from getting stung, right? Keep the bee veil off our nose. So there's 2 of those donated by Dadent, 3 hive tools, and we have t-shirts, but they tend to be on the small size. So those of you who do not, who can say no to donuts and desserts, you're in luck, because there's 5 small, 5 medium, and 2 large. But for some of us, this is, we're out of luck. Okay, so there's the baseball caps and the double sieve extractors, which eventually we all, and even if you just crush and drain and aren't doing full extraction, that can be a really handy tool. The Beekeeper's Apprentice, 30-year edition, anniversary edition. And like I said, initialed by Lori R. King herself, who's a very nice person. Then we have 3 hive tools. The Varroa Easy Check, that's useful. Some of this I can mail, some of it I can't so easily, but if you're anywhere in the Snohomish-King County area, probably I'm coming somewhere near you or someone else is, and we could deliver them to you. Smoker, for example, that's probably better delivered or picked up. Okay, that's the ones I have pictures of. So before we go into serious winterizing discussion, if anyone wants to, I can't congratulate people enough about the fair. I thought about going through a whole slideshow and making you sit through that before we do the drum roll, But I thought, well, that's kind of mean because the people who are showing up already know about the fair, most of you, because you already volunteered time, which was wonderful. It made the fair fun. I hope everybody got to meet people on the shift before and the shift after, especially if you came several days. You got to actually meet people and the other bee club and Tim 80 and Tim 80 probably won't know if I say it here until he hears, but I nominated him for Beekeeper of the Year, an award that's given out by WASBA. And if you were there and you watched him work those bees 3 times a day, barehanded, almost all the times, and just go into the bee tent and work the bees and show people, interact with people by showing them through the mesh of the bee tent, the bees. He's a wonderful person. He doesn't just do that. He has done bees for, I know, well over 10 years. I know it's over 10 years because we took Journeyman together. And he was already pretty active back then, helping in clubs, multiple clubs. He helps anybody and anyone with bees. He'll talk bees anytime to you. So I don't know if he'll get it, but we went ahead and nominated him. All right. Now, see, somebody has to have a random number generator. Anybody volunteering to do that? Or I can mail you the list and I can try to figure out a random number generator. You just need the numbers 1 through 74. That's all we need. Come on, there's a tech person out there who knows how to do this. All right.
I've got one up if you want to do it.
Yes, yes. Do you know how to do it? Okay, okay. And since you don't know the names, even though you're on the list, that works out great because I've got the names, but I'm not on the list because I'm
Okay.
okay. Okay. So why don't let me find that list so that I've got it. Maybe I'll stop the screen share for a second. Okay, so we can see each other and see the look of woo when you realize you've won. Okay, we need a drum roll, right? Ready? You get the first number ready, right? Okay, everybody do the drum roll. Right, this is going to be a drum roll. Okay, okay, Heidi. And I am going to find the file because I was getting ready to email it to somebody. Okay, finding file. Okay, I am ready.
Number 35.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not so ready. Okay,
Oh.
wait a minute. Okay, it did something to me. I got it now. Okay, number 35. 35 is Heidi, it's you.
Oh gosh. Are you
Okay.
kidding?
And you donated a couple of the prizes, so I know which ones you don't want.
Yeah. You want me to just do it again? We can do it again.
No, no, you
Doesn't
might as
have
well
to be
do it
me.
because your name will probably come up again since you're one of the people that has like 11 or something.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so what prize would you pick out of? I got to go back. Maybe I do have to show again.
well, I get to pick. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Do you want, I mean, do you want the hive, another deep hive, or you don't want your own cookie jar and
No.
bee bees?
It was
There's
tempting to keep
the
it, but
smoker strainer. What was else was there? The books. The Beekeeper's Apprentice is good. Um, if you can't decide, we'll just put you down as a 1, okay? And then you
can you put the list up again? Sorry.
yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do that again. Okay,
Okay.
here we are, PowerPoint show, and somehow I do this again. See, don't ask me to do tech stuff.
Oh, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Okay, go back to share screen and resume. Okay, and it wants me to do the slideshow again. Resume. Here we go. Resume. Go back 1. Oh, there we go. Okay, okay.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Um,
I don't know, this is difficult.
yeah, it's yeah. I don't know if I have the Beekeeper's Apprentice or not, to tell you the truth. Um,
It's a mystery type novel.
oh, it's a mystery
It's a
novel.
novel based on a girl meets Sherlock Holmes when she's 16 and eventually they get married when she's a proper 21 or something.
Yeah.
This is
Um,
who marries Sherlock Holmes in his
well,
retirement.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be, yeah, I'm going to be mean and I'm going to ask for the single deep hive set.
Okay, great. That's usually what happens. Okay.
Okay.
Now, okay. And next, got it. The next number. I just have to figure out how to write this down. Okay. Okay. Next
The next
number.
28.
28 is Mike with a Y.
Oh, yay.
Okay. What do you want, Mike?
Amazingly enough, out to the smoker.
Oh,
Okay, the joke with that is that Mike did smoker demos almost every morning of the fair,
yep.
but you
I
can
would-
never have too many smokers. Okay. Okay.
yeah. Thank you, Becky, for taking the single deep because I really wanted the smoker.
That's Heidi took the deep, right?
Oh, Heidi,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No worries.
Mike. Okay. Now, next one. Next random
Next,
number generated between 1 and 74.
37.
Heidi, that's you again.
What?
Well,
I
there's
thought it
only
was 30.
74. So those of you who did 10, 12, actually Mike did, was it 15 shifts by the time you count setting up and yeah, and bringing a friend who did one shift too. So yeah, some people have a distinct advantage here. So okay, you better
I'll,
pick.
no, I'm going to pass.
Okay, I'll if you really, really want to, I'll let you pass. Okay,
Gonna
next
pass.
random number generated.
Okay. 30.
30 by itself.
Yes, 30.
30. Okay, that's Mike again.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Mike.
Um, I'll if people pause and they don't want to, I'll take the double strainer set if
Okay.
nobody else comes by and gets stuff. But right now, I'll just hold off because I've got something.
Okay. Well, I'll put down. There's two of those, so
There.
somebody else wants one. We still have one. Okay. Next
Okay.
random number.
55.
55 is Dennis Dietzel, and the Dietzels aren't here, are they? Okay. Okay, Dennis Dietzel. So we're gonna have to ask him. So this is where I will probably have to ask people. And he is number. Okay. And next number.
16.
Becky,
Yes.
anything you want on there? We got, what are we down to already? We still have, I think, all three books. And we have a double, let me see. Yeah, the double sieve, the really cute cookie jar and bee boots planter,
Right. Can you hear
J
me or no?
hooks.
Okay.
J
Are
hooks are
you
good.
are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The strainer.
Okay. Okay. Next.
Next. Let's get up there. 52.
That's Joe Dietzel. Okay. So we'll have to call the Dietzels. Okay. Next.
22.
It's Mike again. Okay, Mike.
All right, so now I will legitimately take the strainer.
Okay, for sure. Okay. I think we're on the 8th number we've drawn. Okay, what is that number?
Okay, let's generate that one. And that is 10.
Sandra Forer. Sandra, is Sandra here? Okay. Next.
Okay, next. 22. Oh, we already did 22, sorry. 47.
Randy Green. Randy, did you come on? Randy did a number of shifts. Nope. Okay.
Okay, let me get that. Next one.
Okay.
Did we do that one? 57.
We got Dennis Dietzel again. Okay. We definitely have to
Oh.
talk to the Dietzels. Okay, but let's go ahead and pick whoever's here. Okay, it's okay. Need an 11th name, if I'm keeping up on this right.
Do you want me to do another number?
Yeah, another number.
Okay. How about 21?
No, that's Mike again. Okay,
Okay.
Mike, you need a hive tool or something by about now?
I'll hold off. Let other people.
Okay. Well, it is kind of because if you come that many times. Okay,
Yeah.
let's pick another number 11 then.
3.
Aha, that should be different. Mi Young. Okay, Mi Young, out of what's left, do you want the strain? Let's see, what are we down to? The strainer, the 3 books, the Easy Check Varroa
I'll pick the
device.
book.
Which book? The Beekeeper's Apprentice?
Yes, please.
That's a good one. I liked it. I read several
you.
more in the series. And there's a total of she's putting out number 19 this year.
Oh, wow.
Good series if you like it. Okay. Ready? We need a
Next,
12th name.
next number will be 48.
Randy Green again. We're just gonna have to get a hold of him. Okay, next number.
How about 4?
Patty Steamer. Patty, are you here? No. Okay. We'll have to get a hold of her. I think we're kind of running out of steam here, but we can go ahead and draw the rest of the numbers. And what I can do is email people in order and ask them what they'd like. Okay.
Okay.
Shall we
Right,
do
how
that? Just keep
about,
going.
31.
That's you, Heidi.
Oh, I'll pass. I'll pass.
Okay. So pick another number.
Okay. How about 48? Oh, we already did 48. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
How about, did we do 28? We already did 28. 50.
50 is Randy Green again. Okay, we'll just have to get a hold
Do
of
another
him.
one.
Okay.
72.
Okay. Somebody had to be. Becky, that's you. Need a hive tool or anything?
No, I'll pass. Give somebody else a chance.
Okay, but yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Becky,
Okay.
if Becky's gonna pass, then who else is gonna be number 15?
We did that. We did 3. How about, did we do 64? No, 64.
64. Oh, Jennifer, you're here. Jennifer Murray. Okay.
Hey.
Yay. Okay. You jump up and down and do the game show thing. You know. Okay.
I guess I'll do a baseball cap. That sounds fun.
Okay, are there two colors? Is one red and one tan, or are they both red and tan?
I thought it was red and gray,
Is that it?
red, black, and then gray, gray.
Okay,
I'll do
like
gray. I'm a gray person.
okay. Incidentally, Jennifer, did you leave a long-sleeved black shirt at the fair? A very slender person left one.
Ah, maybe. Was
Okay.
it just a black shirt?
Yeah, just
I think I did get hot and I took it.
okay. I thought it was you because I'm saying,
Yes,
well, now who's
that was
slender with long arms? Yeah, okay.
yeah. Thank you. I totally forgot. I
Okay.
overdressed.
Okay, great. We're getting here going. Okay, it's going. Number 16?
Are you, okay, did we do, let me check, did we do 45? No, we didn't do 45.
45 is Patty Steamer.
Okay,
Okay, so um let's just do up to 20. Okay. So the next one should be the 17th number that people
Okay.
haven't passed on.
okay, let's
Mhm.
do that.
And then I'll just email.
8.
Oh, good. It's Dennis Dietzel again.
Oh dear.
That's okay. The Dietzels will probably pass a lot, though, I'll tell you right now. So
Yeah. Okay, we
they
did,
got almost everything. Okay. Anyway. Okay, give me another one. 18. We'll do a number 18, 19, and 20. How's that?
we have a 17.
That's Mike again with a Y. I guess,
Well-
Mike, you're passing again. You sure?
Well, how many people were there and how many prizes were there total?
We still have a lot of T-shirts. Let's see. How many prizes were there? It's on that list. Did I leave the list up? I meant to leave the list up.
Yeah, it is. I
Okay.
see like 16 prizes is what I think I
And then
counted.
the T-shirts, there's a whole mess of T-shirts
Oh, yeah, and I didn't count the t-shirts.
as separates.
Yeah, I mean, if there's enough people and we're just kind of going through the people, I would like another large t-shirt.
Good. I'll put you
If there's
down.
if there's more people than prizes, I'd like more people to get prizes.
Yeah, but you got to face the fact that, like, you put in, was it 15 or 16?
Oh, sure. Too
And
many?
Heidi did like 11 and somebody else did 12, I think. Anyway, so that's part of it. I'm sorry. Those of you who came, you could get lucky. It could still happen. So let's draw two more numbers, okay? And see if we can
Okay, did we
see if we
do-
can get some of the people.
and how about 12?
Ty. Okay, Ty needs something.
Yeah.
Ty, do you need anything that's left on the list?
Trying to
Okay.
get unmuted.
Yeah,
I'll
you're unmuted.
probably look up a shirt. So just contact me and we'll see if there's a shirt. My wife loves the shirts.
She's kind of tall. Is she a large, medium? Because of her
I think
height.
she's probably a large.
Okay, I will put large, and there's more mediums, so I'll put down
And
large.
if you're down to mediums, I mean Sierra's a medium or Anna's a medium, and that
Okay.
would be fine. One of the girls, they like those shirts.
Okay. Let's draw one more name, and then we will give up on drawing
Okay.
names until I contact people. Okay, the last one, drum roll.
Number 6.
Oh, it's Randy Green again. Okay. Okay, well, we have to get a hold of a couple people.
Okay.
But that came out pretty well. Okay, so Heidi is the hive. Mike took a smoker. We got to call the Dietzels. Yeah, we have one strainer spoken for, so I think we still have
No,
a
I think both
strainer.
strainers aren't both strainers spoken for? I thought they
Mm,
were.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I took a strainer and I think didn't Heidi take the other strainer?
I think Becky took a strainer.
Becky took a strainer?
Okay, Becky took a strainer. Okay, my writing's really bad here. Okay. Right, Becky? That's a strainer?
That's correct.
There it is. There, I see it. You were the fifth name drawn. Okay, got it. Okay. So, and then I can put the rest that's left over, and if people are coming by the apiary or something, maybe they could come get some of the t-shirts or whatever that are left over. Baseball cap, nice baseball cap. Okay. So that was the excitement for now. And then we have to figure out how some things I can mail, books I can mail. That's really easy. Okay. Like me Young, I can get your book out to you. I can probably, yeah. There's some things I can mail. Okay, let's,
I don't mind to come by and see you as well too.
yeah, you could also do that. Anybody wants to come by and see how I'm winterizing, which is the next topic. If we are finished with this, do we want to keep recording? We can do that either or. I'm okay either way if people want to hear what we were talking about. Okay, back to, do people want to talk about winterization? I would do more thank yous for the fair. Everybody was so wonderful, but I put so many pictures in the two newsletters. I thought, well, maybe I better stop doing pictures. People might start getting embarrassed. And I can't talk forever about the fair, but it was really great. It is our big event of the year. The
How many
survey
signups? How many signups did we get for classes?
for classes, the fair generally gives us no real signups. People don't actually do that. I doubt that we got very many at all. I did not notice a big influx. It's usually Facebook announcements, and if the WASBA newsletter would come out, which we never know when it comes out, our ad there usually gets us people. And beginner just started on Monday. Anybody, anyone who would like to start, that class is recorded, and Randy has definitely room for some more. I think we're up to like 11 people in the class, but really on Zoom, you could take more than that. And then oh, no, beginner is Tuesday. I am teaching Journeyman Monday, and we only have 4 or 5 people that actually signed up for that. So anybody who's hesitating, this would be a great time if you have 3 years of beekeeping experience, and if you have finished the apprentice certificate. Of course, if you haven't finished the apprentice certificate and you have a year's worth of beekeeping, it's starting on Thursday the 3rd, right before the conference. So we don't get big signups. It's really interesting on the fair. We get a lot of community outreach. People remember us. Oh, we got a donation of equipment. I went and picked up some, and it was not very much, but it was some nice equipment. Some lids and bottoms are the hardest part for us to get quite often as a donation. Robbing screen. Some of the wax moth destroyed frames, so that all requires freezing and handling. But donations do keep us going. They really do. There was something else that had a used smoker in it, in case anybody really wants a used smoker instead of their prize. We do pick them up at donations. And that's where the double screen for extraction, where the double strainer comes from. People think the first year that they're going to go in and be a success in beekeeping, and they buy all the extraction equipment, which is why if you borrow an extractor, we often can send it out with you with maybe a heated knife, a perforated roller, some other tools with it. I try to do that. And I want to get some over to Sandra too. We're kind of making up kits, because when people start extracting the first time, they're using our cheapy extractors. They're hand cranked. They don't work great. But if you can borrow that with the tools, you can decide what you really do want to buy. You can look at it and say, well, I like the perforator. No, it has to be the hot knife that heats and just slices right through. Or I think of it as a bread knife, the one with a serration. There's a whole bunch of different little tools. There's a frame holder that sits on top of a bucket. In my beginner class, I show a picture of it, and I'm taking the cappings off the frames and the cappings are falling into the bucket because the frame is resting on this little frame holder that sits on top of the bucket. It's very handy and not that expensive and just a nice tool to try out. So if anybody wants to borrow extractors or knows somebody who wants to, it's a great way to find out whether you really want to do it. And crush and extract is fine. We're small enough that some of us would only ever be crush and extract. I've done full extraction, but I usually try to talk somebody else into doing it nowadays. So I hope everybody's taking the survey. Don't forget about the survey. And then, okay, people are talking about okay, yeah. Okay, so both extrainers are gone. Good. Yeah, work on the surveys. Then, do we want to discuss what we're doing in our hives? Did I put it back here? Does anybody have something specific they'd like to discuss? We're all on different levels and we're all trying out different things. And I can tell you what the Maltby apiary is doing right now and what I'm trying. And what they're talking about doing in my Cornell masterclass that I'm taking, which is for New York, not for us. So when they talk about what they recommend for overwintering, some of it is not, it sort of works and sort of doesn't, depends on when you really think the temperatures are going to fall. Okay. Oh, Becky has questions. Oh, good, good. Becky, thank you.
Okay, there. I'm not at home, and I'm going by what I've been told. But here's my first question. 2 hives have queen cells that are beautiful and at the bottom, and they're capped. In one hive, there's 2 capped queen cells, and then the bees chewed out 4 others on another frame, and one was pulling out the larvae. Bees don't usually build queen cells this time of year, do they?
I'm seeing everything happen this year. The bees are just so out of sync. Anyone else seeing exactly that? This was the year that broke my 7-year stretch of no swarms. I managed to control swarms until this spring. The weather was crazy. I was trying not to make splits. I was trying to get big hives.
Okay, well, if there's not an answer, I have a question. Bill said he left in the swarm cells, and I said fine, because he couldn't see the queen right away, but I don't think she was marked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're probably going to mate. I don't know. He said the hives are still making drones, but I just can't see she can mate in the rain. So if nothing else, and they're not there, then just combine the hives. I didn't know they would start trying to swarm this time of year.
Well, it's probably not swarm. It's probably supersedure. It's probably they didn't like something about the queens. But you only did oxalic acid, right? You didn't do formic or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
And no. So anyway, well, that was a question. And apparently many of the hives are not doing anything with the bottom box. In all season they haven't. The queens that are laying are still laying in the second and third box. Did anybody else have them where they just weren't doing anything with the bottom box?
If they do that, I swap boxes.
Right. I'm not there. I'm out in California with the fires, and I guess he doesn't feel confident right now. So anyway, okay, I'll tell him to swap boxes. And those were all my questions.
And it's getting late. If you just take that empty box off and they're fine otherwise. Because you're up to 3 boxes. You're up to 3 deeps, aren't you, on some of those hives?
No, they all have 1 deep, and all season they have not wanted to do anything with those deeps. They're finally.
Whoa.
I know.
Okay. You might need to feed them.
Oh no, he's been feeding. They're eating probably a quarter more a day each hive. They're eating 2 to 1, and we've been feeding them 2 to 1 for I don't know at least 3 or 4 weeks. And they've got lots of stores, so that part they're doing good.
Yeah, Becky and her partner in
Minty.
beekeeping, Bill, they did splits and such, and don't want to give up the queens, and especially until you see which one's good. Like the one that's getting supersedure cells done, maybe there's something kind of wrong with that one.
Right.
Yeah.
It does give you options. That's a good thing, is having a lot of queens and smaller hives. But when you get back from California and fighting fires out there, yeah, then you're going to have to come back and make decisions. Getting all that
Right.
empty space out, though, you have to, especially the yellow jackets are going to sneak in through the bottom empty box. I wouldn't have a bottom empty box because after last year, where the yellow jackets were sneaking in everywhere, they were coming in any way they could. They were just walking past the guard beast. It was awful last year. I've just seen bald-faced hornets really start showing up here and there, and they're huge. I'm sure it's the mated queens that are looking for a snack before they overwinter, and I'd rather they didn't find it near my hives. I do not want them overwintering right where I am. But I'm seeing the bald-faced hornet. I'm not seeing the yellow jacket so much.
My only other question is to Ty. I've been anxious to hear what your thoughts are about last winter and what you would do different, as far as the ventilation, your insulation. I've been waiting for the information because I think it'll be good.
I can give you an answer in about probably 5 minutes. I can show you where I'm at and explain. But give me just a few more minutes and I will be able to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that would be great because Ty did a very elaborate insulating hives and change in the way in overwintering, and did this really inventive, creative thing. And if you want, anybody does want to look it up who isn't familiar with what Ty did, basically, while he's finding his equipment, later on after the meeting, you can go to, we have monthly meetings recorded on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, just type in SnoKing Beekeepers, and then you go to the monthly meetings, I think you'll hit Ty's name, Carlson. And if you look down the list, you look for the playlist, monthly meetings playlist. I think you can find his basic presentation on it. And then he did the overwintering, and he's switching this year, I think, to a new technique. And Ty just got his, well, about a year ago, got the master from University of Montana, and is trying out these different systems of overwintering. So yeah, did anyone else just see supersedure cells and weird things happening with the bees deciding to make queens? And they're not really swarming, they're just sort of restless.
Yeah, I had
I
a couple of really restless queens that I lost. Well, I lost one restless queen. I was able to get
Mhm.
the other one finally settled. But the workers, they weren't restless at all. They were trying to keep her to get her to stay, and she was not having it. And she finally snuck away from me where I couldn't get her and throw her back in. But that was really weird. I was just comfortable with the idea that, once a queen has all of her attendees and the hive is functioning like it should, that why would they leave? And it was just the queen that wanted to leave. Nobody else, they all stayed. Nobody went with her. So I don't know. That was
Yeah.
kind of strange. So I'm kind of thinking maybe they didn't accept her. Maybe they kind of overpowered her and chased her out. Maybe that's what happened. But I did have a queen cell show up last month. And
Okay.
yeah. And fortunately enough, I needed an extra queen from the hive that I had rescued. So I went ahead and just went ahead and took a couple frames out with the brood and the queen cell and the workers, and combined it with this other hive. And lo and behold, she's in there laying eggs. So I was kind of thinking, yeah, this isn't going to work. It's too late in the year. I'm not worried about having the mating flight. I have plenty of drones for them to have a mating flight still. But she had her mating flight, and there's just all kinds of eggs in this box. So just
Yeah.
that to me, that was kind of weird because it's kind of late in the season, and I'm thinking I'm going to lose this hive, or I need to combine it. I don't know what's going to happen here, but she's busy being a queen. But we do have a question in the chat.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Oh, wrapping. Okay, Young. What all the opinions of everyone present on do we wrap or not to wrap? Do we do the black tar paper? Do we do the boards? Ty's going to show you some insulation boards around his, so he'll show you that system. Tar paper is used a lot in areas where the sun comes out every once in a while. They have a sunny day during the winter, and they say that the black tar paper not only seals the cracks between the boxes. People say they put it around for that reason, because it doesn't let the wind go in the cracks and crevices. And then if a bee flies out and it's kind of only like 40 something and it's kind of cool outside, bees are cold-blooded. They can see the sun, they can fly out, think they can do the cleansing flight and get back, and they get weak because it's so cold, if the temperature's too cold. And some people say having that black paper picks up the sun, solar gain, I think that's what they call it. And when it picks up the sun, if the bees can land on that black paper, then they'll be able to warm enough to get back inside. I don't know if anybody here actually use it. I just read about it and watch people. And I do Reflectix, the silver. You can buy it by the feet, the silver bubble wrap like Mylar type thing that you put around the hives. I do that. So yeah, Myung, if you do come over and pick up a prize, yeah, then you can see. You can see it. I haven't started doing it. Okay, I don't start until I'm sure the bees agree that it's winter. As we already mentioned, brood in the hives, we're not surprised at that. Other places are surprised at that this late in the year. But we're not surprised because our bees are so used to overcast days, 40 something nights, 50, 60 something days. This is an in-between fall where I am. Is everybody else having like 60s during the days and 50 or a little lower at night? And the nighttime temperature seems to determine a lot about whether they keep raising brood. Can they keep the brood easily warm? Because brood has to be at 92 to 94 degrees. When the temperature is falling below 50, they can still do it. I know Michael Duncan's on here, and he pointed out to me one time that 40 degrees is like a critical temperature at nighttime, right? Am I quoting you right, Michael?
Yes.
He's here.
Yeah.
Okay, am I quoting you right that 40 degrees is sort of a critical time at which they stop taking liquid feed? Just stop giving it to them.
Well, they'll take it at below 40, but they can't dry it out. So you're building a lot of moisture in your hive if you feed them when it's 40 or below. So that's sort of the critical temperature when they just can't dry it out anymore.
And since we've got you here, what do you do about the wrapping insulation?
Nothing.
Okay, even
I put
under the
I
top
put my
lid?
I put my inner cover on with a feeder shim. I use my medium boxes for a feeder shim. And I do put a piece of burlap in over the top of the sugar if I do put sugar on them. I haven't fed in 3 years. And then a quilt box and then my top cover, and that's it. I did have an interesting occurrence just right at the first of this month, like the first or second. And I wished Annie would have gotten me, but I went out in the evening and my top bar hive and the 2 nukes next to it were covered in bees. And clusters and groups of bees, and there was bees on the ground and there was bees all over the place, and it was getting down into low 50s, and so they were, getting cold and lethargic. And I couldn't, she said, oh, we heard this roaring and stuff. And it's like, it wasn't warm enough for a swarm. Everybody set for not swarming. And why would they be all over the top of my other hives? So the only thing I could think of is that a swarm from somewhere else descended on my apiary, and not finding an empty box to get into, just landed on my nuke island there where I've got all those boxes, and just crashed and sat there. And then the next morning, they'd all found a box to crawl into, but they were crawling into multiple boxes. So it was, I have no
Anybody
idea.
could take them, huh?
Yeah. So the only thing I can think is that a swarm came into my yard, and then being as cold as it was, once they landed, they got lethargic and couldn't get inside. But I would say that's probably the third swarm I've had descend on me like that, but it's always happened during swarm season, not the 1st of September.
Okay, Becky might be right. Those cells might mean that the bees were thinking about it, but then decided not to, I hope.
Yeah.
I think it's been a crazy year. It's just been so much overcast.
The only reason I didn't see them, the only reason I thought they might be swarm is they were at the bottom, and he said there were just huge, beautiful cells, and that I don't know how long they've been capped. He doesn't usually go down in there, but I guess my question is, at that point, if they've got 2 beautiful queen cells, why would they start chewing holes in the other ones and extracting the larvae, the queen larvae?
So they were tearing down the queen cells that were there?
I guess there were 3 or 4 queen cells on one frame, and they were tearing those down. However, there were 2 queen cells at the bottom of another one, and those were capped. Well, in fact, all were capped, but at the other frame, they were tearing them up and dragging out the larvae.
Yeah, unless one of them emerged somewhere in the hive and they were just starting to tear down the rest of the cells.
Okay. Well,
You might have had a new queen emerge somewhere in there. So they were after the others.
and my question is now, when the new queen emerges, typically doesn't she go for the others, or do the workers just start tearing down the cells themselves?
Well, she'll go in and sting them, and then the others will start tearing them down.
Okay.
But if there's a queen running around in there too, they'll start tearing them down on their own. So
Okay.
I've seen it both ways.
Okay. Well, it's good information to consider. Yeah. Because I didn't have a clue. And they're still making drones, some of the hives. Are they doing that with everybody's?
Not mine, but then I have all the small hives because I'm the apiary. I have all these small hives that I'm trying to beef up so they're just big enough I can get them through the winter and have extra hives for the queen rearing workshop in the spring. So I'm encountering that problem of I'm just trying to get them to grow, but I haven't seen drones now in my hives. Only the biggest ones have had very many drones at all. The small ones just aren't, I guess they're not encouraging drones. They're probably not even really feeding them if they show up. So, but other people have been saying they see drones. And I think again, it's the crazy weather. It's not clearly winter.
Okay, well, that's good. And one more question. So pull out your crystal ball, and how many bees would you recommend to go into winter? Or how many would be too few? I'm not there yet. He said some seem to be dwindling. So if you had a guesstimate.
Uh, that depends on how much work you want to do, how much you want to wrap them, how much you want to watch them.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have really good honey right around them on the sides and right above. Yeah, okay. I think Heidi was gonna come in. Was it on the drones or was it on this part? Were you gonna chime in, Heidi?
Oh, I was gonna say I am surprised to see that I have as many drones in
Okay.
my boxes that I do right now. I've started
Mhm.
seeing behavior of the girls kicking the drones out, and so I thought, okay, here this is kind of kicks off the new season, right? But then looking in other hives, um, they're not kicking their drones out yet. Now I don't have the surplus of drones like I did through the summer, but it just seems like some of the hives are kicking the drones out, and the other ones seem to don't care if they're still there or not. So I'm kind of wondering, why do they feel like they need drones? And I'll take a look inside to make sure I don't have any queen cells or anything like that. And yeah, there's nothing in there telling me that they need drones. So I'm not really sure. But I mean, all of my splits, just beautiful patterns of broods, solid patterns, big hives. I mean, just solid population. And then I have two overwintered hives that are just kind of limping along. It's like,
Mhm.
what? So my solid hives that I've had for, well, this would be their this will be their third year. So I guess the queens are getting older. I did lose the queen from my favorite hive that just nothing but solid brood every year. She's finally passed on and they got another queen, but it's just inverse. Everything seems to be inverse this year for me. Just when you think you've got the bee behavior down, then we get good weather and then we get this inverse activity of characters, and it's like I'm just trying to keep up.
Yeah. And Heidi's very personally involved with her hives and keeps a lot of small hives right where she can see them. And so you're very personally involved in yours.
I
Okay.
do. I go visit my girls.
Yeah. Ty is back, but we didn't answer Becky's question. Se last question. What was the last? On how many bees do you need to get through the winter? And there are people that do successfully overwinter, like Michael Palmer, but he takes like 4 frames or 5 frame nukes and pushes them together, wraps them together. He has a system worked out, but if you're going to do them in full-size boxes, you have to avoid empty space, right? You can't have loose space in there, and you have to pack them in with honey. Ah, I know that you can do it with 2 8-frame Westerns if you really are feeding them well. You've made sure they've got everything. Lots of honey. You fed them until right before you put them to bed for the winter. You've got the dry sugar underneath the inner cover, So I know that you can do it with like a Western, an 8-frame Western worth of bees. I don't recommend it. And I think even then I pushed them together and reflex wrapped them so they were well wind protected and maybe even sharing a tiny bit of heat. So anybody else want to give a minimum bee thing? We don't recommend it, but the reason we tell you as beginners, try to get 10 deep frames of bees and brood. And maybe frames 1 and 10 on the outside are actually honey, but basically you've got a box of bees. Um,
Well,
that's for sure. But darn it, we know you can do it with less.
and that's a good answer, because if I'm deciding on whether to combine hives, and I guess I don't know when this fire will be over. They don't know either, but if I don't make it home till the second week of October, is that too late to be putting the bees to bed? Do I need to be telling him what to do?
It's hard to tell. The temperatures are staying up. We're about 5 degrees, I think. Anybody else have an opinion? Sort of day and night warmer than some falls. The last 2 falls were incredibly sunny and warm. So I I don't know what normal is anymore.
Yeah, the nights are really cool, and that tells me I should start wrapping my hives. But then by 11 o'clock, it's like 70 degrees out there. So, I don't know. I don't know.
And
Ready to wrap it just at the drop of a hat. I'm ready to wrap it. It's just the cooler nights of, kind of got me thinking about it.
I really like to see it close to freezing before I do any wrapping, even if it's a small hive. I want them to know it's winter, you guys. Cluster. Stop raising so much brood. They still raise brood anyway.
And the pollen, they're still bringing a ton of pollen in. It's just incredible how much pollen they're bringing in.
You're not a very high elevation in Linwood. Michael Duncan's talking from a fairly low elevation, but it's still windy over there in Quilcene. And Becky's talking about Gold Bar, which is kind of not as cold as you would think as you're getting up in the mountains, because the valleys are kind of protected, I think. So it depends on where you are trying to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah. I'll comment on the bee number question a couple questions back, is you can basically overwinter bees in a shoebox as long as you got half brood and half honey and enough bees to cover it and they're dry and warm. But my rule of thumb is if I've got only a single deep with well, as far as a single deep, they have to have 7 or 8 frames of bees in there before I'll overwinter them in a single deep. So if they're at like 5 or 6, I'll take them out and put them into a nuke box and like 5/5 or a 4/4. They'll actually overwinter better with 2 5-frame nukes stacked on each other than they will in a single deep spread out, because the heat rises and it's more contained. So the bees don't have to move as far to access their stores. So they don't have to move side to side. So as they do use their stores, it's easier for them just to move straight up into the second box to access that box full of honey. And they'll overwinter much better in a double stack of nukes than they will in a single deep spread out.
Yeah.
And that's been my experience.
Yeah, that was one of the problems of doing even an 8-frame, was I didn't really expect them to go to the sides at all. Yeah, you pretty much you have to have the honey on top or something, because that heat travels upward. And if you look at Michael Palmer's double nuke system, the 4/4 starts to make sense, because and often people take the 10-frame, and when you split a 10-frame in half and put a divider, you end up with 4 frames on each side, and then you're putting another 4 on top of them. And so people call that, like Michael was saying, a 4/4, in case anyone's not following. So we're not coming to any real conclusions here. Anybody else have an idea? We haven't heard from Steve or Jen. You're a couple winters into this. Carla, you're a couple winters into. Pat?
I have no idea.
How do you answer this? Okay, should we go on to Ty then? Let Ty show us how what he did this winter, because I know there was like as I said, there's a monthly meeting. You can go to our monthly meetings playlist and find Ty what he did one winter, and then I think he's modifying it this winter, right? Okay, here we go. Ty, can you unmute? Can't hear you yet. We can see the hive.
This is a really crappy interface. Okay, can you see things?
You see the hive.
All right. Okay, so this is just a box. It's not a real hive. It's just what I'm working with. So this is the insulation that I've been using on top. This is the 2-inch hard insulation, and that'll be on this winter. But what happened is I think we got too wet last winter, possibly. And so what I'm going to do this year is I've got a little bit of a challenge because I'm using top feeders and I like them. There's some issues with them, but I'm working kind of through those as well. But so this is more insulation sitting on top. You know, this is another 2-inch. So this is insulation inside. And then you've got the center feeder on the top. The problem is, how are you, if you're going to put in some type of moisture board, how are they going to get to the feeder, right? So I came up with this. So this is the normal top cover. So what I did was kind of took a combination of information we had recently. Was the discussion was to create something that is a moisture, kind of a moisture shim, but it's got 2 layers in it. It's got one layer that is the cocoa fiber, right? So this is the stuff you use for plants and stuff like that. And so this can absorb moisture and should be able to handle that. They use it for plants and keeping water in plants. So that's one layer. And then what I did was I went and I got the Hemosoap board. And so what I've got is a brace inside. What I wanted was a little bit of a void in here so that moisture and air and stuff can circulate so things can dry out and you're not going to be creating a big, just solid thing of moisture. So what I'm doing is creating these so that I have the cocoa fiber below. I have a chimney. I haven't cut the center out on this one yet, but I have a chimney for the bees to come up in. And then I put the Hemosoap board on top so that they have a channel to come up in, and they have basically two layers of moisture control. So it ends up looking like this. And so there's a chimney for them to come up to get up to the top feeder. At the same time, I've got a nice solid surface on one end, and on the bottom side, then I have the cocoa fiber and the chimney there. So I think that's what I'm going to use this year to look at and then monitor it with brood minders and stuff to see what type of humidity I get inside the hive. So, and then I just screw these down so that this board is also subject to warping. The one interesting thing was I went to go look at where to get the Hemosoap board, and there are sound boards that are made out of Hemosoap type materials. But when I read up at it, the stuff that I could get that Home Depot had says it was waxed. It was waxed and resined, and to keep moisture from getting in. So I then went, and Dunn Lumber had Hemosoap board, and it wasn't waxed. And but it also said that some of the Hemosoap materials are moisture resistant, but also moisture absorbent. And I'm like, what the, and did more reading on it and stuff. And indeed, that is kind of the case. It's a bit moisture resistant, but ultimately it's moisture absorbent. And it is, when you work with it, this is a very, this material is very, I won't say flimsy, but it certainly isn't, it's a part of, it's a fiber board. And so cutting it and working with it is something you might expect. And so I can anticipate, when this stuff gets wet, that it will be kind of soggy. So that's why I braced it and supported it inside. I have these little things to support that from collapse inward. It also sits in this. So hopefully that'll kind of keep the bees out, and we'll try that. So that's what I'm going to try this year.
So Ty, you're putting, that's kind of like insulation moisture control under the feeder.
Under the top feeder, yes.
Soon as
It's in the hive. It's in the hive, right? So you don't want it not necessarily on the bees, but you're in the area, the void, if you will, where the bees are. And if I put it on top of the feeder, what I'm really doing is I'm sucking the moisture out of the sugar water, while it's liquid feed. And so I think my thinking was that I'd be extracting moisture, but I'd be extracting it more from the feedstock than I would be from the hive. And so putting it lower down allows it to be more impactful on the hive itself as opposed to that. So that's the thinking.
So Ty, on the super insulating that you did last year where you completely wrapped them in board and stuff, did that not work out then? Did you have a high winter loss?
I did have a high winter loss, and so I still have all the insulation, but I'm going to leave the top insulation on this year. That the big yellow cap on this one, for example, I'll leave the top on, but I am going to leave. I'm going to probably leave the sides uncovered unless we hit something really cold, and then I still have the insulation, that I have available. But I think the problem that I need to address near term is this moisture issue, because I had some broodminder alerts last year, and it's like, well, it's supposed to go to the side and run down. Well, bullshit. Based on results, that didn't happen. So this is the next strategy.
So you had condensation that fell on the cluster?
I don't know. I mean, you can, here's the situation. The bees had plenty of food stocks. They didn't run out of food stocks or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I did have high hive losses. I did not have mites, or I had treated for mites and I didn't see the mite drops. So it's possible I could go do, the washes on them, but I'd kind of been tracking and treated them 3 times in August and September. So that's what I was working with. So and the reason why I'm doing the moisture, I'm trying to contain the moisture in the hive. And if I do it above the liquid feeders, then I'm really, because it's top feeder, I'm really, managing the moisture of the liquid feeder, and that's not where the bees live.
Oh, but you're going to be using that feeder for dry feed. You're not going to be using it for liquid when you
I
put the
use it for
humusol.
liquid. I use it for, so here's the thing. So there's the top, right? And then, so then it'll be top.
Wait, it's out of the picture.
Inner
It's
cover.
out of the screen. What
Oh,
you're
sorry.
showing. Yeah.
Yeah, hang on.
Okay, there.
So, so it's that. Okay, then they got the inner cover, and then the top feeder above it, right? So inner cover, top feeder, right? Sitting above it. And so they can get to it, but where the bees are living, there's got a moisture control in the zone where the bees are. And then I can be liquid feed and then switch them, in winter when we get to freezing, I can switch them to dry feed. And I can do that switch without having to get really inside the hive, because, all I have to do is really just take the top cover off. So that's the theory. And then on top of this sits an insulating layer too.
So,
And then,
so you're starting from the theory that the bees cannot control their own humidity inside the hive, so that to optimize survival.
based on results from last year, that and the reporting from the broodminders that they had high humidity, that was a problem. So I'm losing power, so I might drop out of here.
Okay, yeah. It's just that high humidity is so normal for
I know,
our
but
climate. They're bringing in
I get that.
100% humidity air.
I get that. Well, guess what? I mean, it's not going to desiccate the air. It's not like I have dries the air in it, right? It's not that I'm using some, active desiccant, right? These are absorbent, and I'm going to see what happens.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, let us know what
Michael,
happens.
what do you think?
Probably checking on his granddaughter going to bed, the princess. He usually goes and checks.
Anyway, so that's a strategy, and I'll monitor what happens with it. And I have the insulation to wrap them if I need to, but we'll see how it goes. The top insulation is what I've kind of been focused on, because when I looked at the hives, and even during the summertime, I was, what was it? One of the previous speakers was mentioning, I leave the insulation on in summertime because the hive is much more balanced, particularly with small hives. And this was something that I reported out last year, was that the small hives really are impacted by the sun, and they have a difficult time controlling the heat in the hive. But if you have an insulation, even if you just have 2 inches of insulation just sitting on top of the top cover, it stabilizes the temperature in the hives. So I just leave the top cover insulation on during the summer.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
just look at it as you're reducing a stress on the bees. They don't have to worry so much about temperature fluctuation. And when we're doing the queen rearing workshop in the spring, it gets kind of important. We have so many small hives and we need them to all do well and just stay unstressed as possible. So top insulation
And maybe
especially.
this won't work, but maybe it won't work, but we're, if you don't try something new, then we don't move forward, and we'll see what happens.
But have you ever listened to Rich? What's his last name? Rich at Broodminder, who does the short
Yeah.
videos. And
Yeah.
he has said that if he had his way, he would not even bother to put a humidity sensor in because he said he thought it was useless in hives. It was unimportant. Just he didn't really believe in it, but people asked for it.
Well,
And
we'll see what happens.
yeah,
We'll see what the data says, right?
yeah.
You're a scientist. We'll see what the data says.
As long as you have brood, they've got to have 50 to 80% humidity. I mean, they can't go lower than that.
But that's what it is. This was going higher than that. That was the problem.
Yeah, if it was up near the top of the hive, I could imagine, especially if it was condensing up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to try it. See.
Yeah, let us know.
So that hopefully, Becky, that answers your question. Anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
Thanks.
We are at
Thanks.
8 o'clock. Did we want to stop the recording?
Yeah, what you want to do that because we really don't need and that was a nice kind of little presentation.